I recorded my wife cheating on me and I cannot stop watching it. A couple of weeks ago, I decided to surprise my wife with a kid-free night out. My parents live about an hour and a half away from us, so I arranged for the kids to stay with them for the weekend. Usually, when I go to my parents' house, I am gone until later in the evening, spending all day there and leaving around dinner time. This time, I planned to drop the kids off and immediately return home to surprise my wife so we could go out as soon as possible. I had made reservations at a nice restaurant and hoped to visit a few places for some drinks beforehand. I left at 8:30 and was back in our housing plan before 12:30. As I pulled onto my street, I saw a truck parked in front of my house. I did not recognize it, but I assumed it was someone visiting the neighbors because it is not unusual for someone to park in front of our house. I parked a few houses away, thinking I would sneak into the house and surprise my wife instead of pulling into the driveway and going in through the garage. I went in through a basement door as quietly as possible, but as soon as I entered, I heard sounds coming from the floor above. At first, I thought my wife was by herself, maybe having some personal time. I did not want to interrupt her privacy and embarrass her, so I was about to return to my car and enter through the garage so she would know I was home. Then I heard a man's voice. I immediately felt sick, and my heart felt like it was going to explode out of my chest. It is hard to describe how I felt in that moment. I decided to go upstairs, not to confront them, but just to see what was happening. I moved slowly and quietly up the stairs. The door was halfway open, and the kitchen was empty, but I could tell they were in the living room. The sounds made it obvious what was going on. There was no way for me to look into the living room without being seen, so I pulled out my phone and opened the camera app. I put my phone just around the corner of a wall and started recording. I felt that I needed a record of it for whatever I decided to do in the future. I just stood there in my kitchen, watching it all unfold on my phone screen. I felt like I could scream at any moment, but for some reason, I just froze completely. This went on for several minutes. She finally jumped off of him and made a comment about going to the bedroom, and they went upstairs. She even made a comment about how much time they had left. I walked into the living room and found the guy's pants. I took his wallet out and took pictures of his driver's license. I now know his name and address. I have never met him and have no idea how my wife knows him. I left the house the same way I entered, went back to my car, and cried like the pathetic man I am. I decided to watch the video to make sure it recorded. I watched it all. I sat in my car for at least half an hour. I could not drive to my parents' house to get the kids, as I would have to explain why. I decided that I would pull into the driveway, open the garage, and just pretend like I was there to surprise her. I took my time getting into the house and made a lot of noise. When I saw her, she was very flustered, asking why I was home. She was in a robe and said she was just getting ready for a bath. I told her about my plans, and she seemed excited. She poured us both a glass of wine and suggested we pregame before getting ready. I do not think I talked much. She took me into the living room, and I am not proud of what I let happen. I could faintly see the guy sneaking downstairs and going to the basement stairs, but I did not say or do anything. I just let my wife continue doing what she was doing to me. Since that day, I have watched the video of her repeatedly. I cannot bring myself to make any decisions on what to do next. She seems to know something is wrong because she has asked a few times if I am okay. I feel worthless, and every time I hit a low point, I watch that video again. I feel like I have watched it at least 10 times a day since I caught them. Update 1. I stopped watching the video after reading all the comments on my first post. It has helped clear my mind and allowed me to focus on the next steps. This has enabled me to be mostly back to my normal self for both my kids and my job. I have gone through my wife's phone and found nothing. I searched the guy's name from the driver's license and figured out how they met. He is a landscaper. She was calling some landscapers a few months ago to clean up our yard and ended up getting some mulching and cleanup done. I have driven past his house many times. I think he is single, as I could not find any records of other people living at that address. I have only seen a truck parked in the driveway when I have driven by. I have been avoiding my wife after the kids are in bed to limit one-on-one time. I do not want any awkward conversations, and I also do not want to have sex. I have mostly been successful with this but slipped up one night when I had a little too much to drink. I hated myself for it the next day. I do not believe she has seen him since the day I caught them. I have been paying attention anytime she is gone. I obviously cannot track her 100%. I have read about Apple AirTags, but I use Android. I am guessing any app one would put on her phone may be discovered. I have installed a doorbell camera on our house so I can always see the street. When I did this, my wife did not say anything. We continue to do things as a family as we normally would. I have done my best to not let her know what I know and to continue to be a good dad to my kids. The weird thing I am dealing with now is that she has planned a night out with a friend for drinks. It is a friend from work, so I do not know her at all and I am not connected with this person on social media. When she told me, I made up some excuse about work and said I could not watch the kids. She ended up getting our neighbor to agree to babysit. Now I am debating if I should follow her to see if she is meeting her friend or the guy. It seems like I am heading towards a confrontation either way when I just want everything to go back to normal. I am going to leave my house soon and pretend to be going to work. I will probably just go to a bar to kill time until I can drive by the place she is supposed to be going. I am filled with dread about all of this. Update 2. I have received so many messages asking how I am doing that I felt I should probably post an update. On the night she was going out with her friend, I pretended I had work and left the house after the babysitter arrived. I went to a bar and had a few drinks. Then I drove over to the restaurant she said she was going to. I saw her car in the parking lot. I was on edge and incredibly nervous despite the drinks earlier. I was so worried I would walk in and see her with that guy. I was hoping to sneak in and get a look without being seen, but that failed miserably. She saw me as soon as I walked in the door. She was with her friend and not the guy. We had the expected "what are you doing here? Thought you were working" conversation. I told her work ended early, so I wanted to stop by to say hi since we had a babysitter. I left after a couple of drinks and went home to relieve the sitter. Many of you commented on my last post that I need to confront her, and I decided in that moment that I would. I could not hold it in any longer. I got the kids to bed and waited for her to come home. I watched the video again to remind myself of what happened. When she got home, she was surprised I was still up and could tell from the way I looked that something was wrong. I poured it all out on her. It probably was not fair of me, and I did not even let her sit down. I told her everything. I played part of the video to show her what I saw. I called her some harsh names and said she ruined our lives. In that moment, I was incredibly angry. She was very upset, heavily crying and shaking. She told me how terrible she felt about everything that happened. I told her she had to tell me everything that happened with that guy, and she laid it all out. She cheated on me twice with him. After the time I saw them, she cut things off because she knew it was wrong and she loves me. I asked her for proof, but she said she had already deleted and blocked him on her phone, Facebook, and Instagram. She did tell me that he is single and knew she was married. She asked me to delete the video, but I refused. She asked me why, and I did not have a reason other than feeling I needed to hold on to it for now. She got a little angry at that and asked if I was keeping it to watch again. It was very late at this point, so we decided to go to bed and talk more the next day when we had more time to think. She continued to apologize repeatedly for what she did. We slept separately that night. Over the next few days, things between us seemed better. I felt some relief that it was all out in the open now. We have continued to talk, and it feels like we are on a path to staying together and moving past this. I have made it clear that she is never to see or talk to that guy again. While things feel like they are improving, I am still struggling to trust her. Worse yet, I have a trip coming up for work, and I will be gone for a few days. I have told her that I am not comfortable with leaving right now, but I cannot skip this trip. My boss made it clear that I am needed. She said I could put cameras up in the house to keep an eye on her if it would make me feel better. Sadly, I may do that. I will be gone for at least 3 days. Overall, things are okay. The kids are oblivious to anything going on, and it seems that slowly my wife and I will eventually get back to normal. I hope so, at least. I am a little ashamed to admit that I have watched the video a few times since all of this. I am thinking that I should probably delete it so it is gone from my life. I do not know what is wrong with me. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more interesting stories and perspectives, make sure to hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. Don't miss out on more interesting videos. Click the video on your screen to check out my previous interesting content. And I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. See you in the next video.